What's up, guys? They just dropped the official tier list for infinite mode, so let's go show you guys the new best infinite mode units, as well as the loadouts that are recommended by some of the people that contribute to the game. All right, guys, here we go. All right, so let's start off with all the elemental units. I'll go over them in depth. So first up, guys, we have Ryuko. Now, the one thing about her that's different is she is she hits air unit, so she is hybrid, unlike Guts. However, Guts does insanely amount more damage. So personally, I don't think I would ever use Ryuko for infinite mode. Just skip her if you're in air infinite mode. She just does not do enough damage, and frankly, she needs a buff. However, Guts has some potential in infinite mode. All right, for bleed, Zoro is still the king, but there's a lot of interesting units you guys could use. You could use Kurapika for the ability, or you could even use Sid for the nuke. But I will say there's a pretty big jump, and Sid needs buffed. So Zoro currently is the GOAT, and he also is air, unlike Sid. So that's the go-to. Next up, we got all the burn units. Now, these guys in the back, I would just skip all of them. All right, these three in particular, they're okay. They're just not good enough for infinite mode. So for infinite mode, I would stick with either of these three units, whichever one you're able to get your hands on. I will say Natsu is very, very easy to get. So that's kind of why I recommend him. You can just straight up get him from the banner. All right, for Black Flames, this is for regular mode. So I will say for air mode, obviously you want to go with Ichigo. All right. However, the difference between Dark and Itachi and Obito is light years. So these two I wouldn't even consider bringing. Actually, let me whip out my paint. All right, here we go. So I'm going to whip out my paint, and I'll just cross these guys off because they are that bad. And these guys, I guess, aren't as bad, but, you know, these guys are, like, seriously, like, I would not even bother bringing them. You really, really, really want to go with this guy. He's doing, like, 3x the damage of Obito. It's absolutely insane. Next up, we got Poison, and I'm going to be frank with you guys. These guys both suck. Never bring him. And they also forgot another Poison unit, but I guess he's just not good enough. So never bring the Poison units, guys. All right, Sukuna, however, is getting an Evo or slash Stardust. I guess I guess the right word is rework, or like a new version. So he will be better soon whenever that drops, but that might not be for a while. All right, for normal time stop, I will say these two have the same like length of time stop, and I think she might as well. So these three are going to be your go-to. However, if you don't have either of these three, you can go with these in this order. However, I would definitely stick with these three if you can. And honestly, Gojo is still the GOAT. This guy might do more DPS though. However, he is kind of pricey, so I'd probably still stick with Gojo depending on your loadout. All right, for ultimate time stop, Boa has the longest of the ultimate time stops. However, I will say that Gojo also has the nuke as well, which is very useful. And most people like to bring Gojo because you can be a normal time stop and an ultimate time stop. The rest of these I would not use. Diavolo does have a unique ability. However, he has so little damage, it kind of sucks. Hopefully they buff his damage. All right, next up for slows. I would definitely say this guy is your go-to for the slows. However, Wax Slow is kind of the new thing nowadays. And then Katakuri is good. However, this guy does have intervals. Int abilities. So keep that in mind. Now, personally, for Gale Slow, I don't know why these are ranked so weirdly. Tatsumaki now has intervals, and they buffed her damage so much. I would personally go with Tatsumaki. I don't know why she's ranked so low on this list. Now, rewind-wise, Aizen's a good bet. And I guess Mater's are good bets. She's okay if you want to bring her, but I don't know much people that bring her. And Julius is kind of a budget one. And then we also have Giorno, guys. All right, Geo. I don't know if I would ever recommend bringing Geo, though. Knockback units. These are all three different Actually, not all three. These guys are different knockbacks. So, Diavolo should really be in his own category. And then Law is better. Plus, he has his other ability as well, where he has Rimuru or whatever it's called. I think it's called, yeah, it's Rimuru's ability. So he has the Rimuru ability as well, which is very nice. So I would always bring Law over Kuma if I have Law. Now, buff units, if you're going in infinite mode, you got to bring your watch. However, if you don't have your watch, go with her. And Idol also has her own like skull and crossbone thing that has a pretty cool buff on it as well, which might be interesting. And I don't think I'd never bring this guy. Please don't, guys. Please don't bring him. I've used him before. He's so freaking annoying. All right, here we go. So these are like the borderline meta overall units. So we'll just go over these real quick, and I'll give some commentary as well. Good viable support. Yeah, these are like if you're a new player, you can use these. But if you're going for leaderboards, guys, none of these three are leaderboards. So they're good if you're a new player. Good and viable. These guys all have okay damage. I will say that there is a few mistakes on this though. All right, I'm gonna give him some credit where credit's due. So I'm gonna circle what I think is you know, a little bit off. Here we go. So good / viable. I guess maybe viable is correct, but do not underestimate this guy right here. All right, he might be a little bit more than viable. I'd probably move him up to borderline meta personally because he did get buffed. And honestly though, comparatively speaking, light years ahead. I don't really like this guy that much, but then again, all these units. Also, one more thing, guys, Akaza did get nerfed, so keep that in mind if you want to use Akaza. And otherwise, I don't know if I really like any of these other units. Borderline meta, I will say you need Pain is now more of a support. He's a base HP healer unit, so that's kind of what he is. However, he can interfere because he's slow, etc. So he's kind of complicated to use. Now, these rest of these units are pretty decent damage. Guts is also pretty good as well. She's also kind of hard to use. She takes up a lot of slots. So I don't know if I would use her. You guys can let me know what you think about her. But she just uses too many slots for me. And the rest of them we kind of already talked about. Oh, also, don't sleep on Baby Vegu 3. He is honestly not bad at all. And Tanjiro, the problem is you can't use Tanjiro if you're using Wax Slow. So I really can't recommend Tanjiro as a unit. So he's definitely borderline meta. All right, the rest of you guys are pretty good. Borderline meta supports. I would say, I don't know, yeah, borderline meta for sure on all of these. Depends on your strategy. You can get away with most of these units. He actually has a pretty cool ability. So I think they might have nerfed it though. So keep this guy in mind. His ability is pretty dope. The rest of them don't really have any super cool abilities. So I definitely think this guy might move up though on the list because he has a pretty cool ability if you have a lot of DOT units or you're doing elemental infinite mode. All right, next up we kind of got the DPS units. So let me go over these as well. There we go. So for the overall DPS units, we got the nukes. Honestly, the only nuke I would really consider bringing is wait, what the heck? The only nuke, oh my gosh, bugged again. The only nuke I would consider using is going to be Goku. Goku is just the best out of all of these, and I guess you could use him. He's a support unit. The rest of them though, like unless you're really low budget, I don't really recommend bringing them. They're not really worth grinding for in my opinion at this current moment until they get buffed. All right, meta DOT, I like all of these except I honestly don't think Tanjiro is really meta. I don't know, man. He's not that great. He is the best Sunburn unit, but who uses Sunburn? And Yamamoto's okay, but I don't think this guy's really meta. I'm gonna cross him off the list. He's so hard to get, you might as well just get Natsu. All right, meta DPS. Her, the new unit, is insane. But remember, if you bring her, you have to bring Mahito or a bunch or Path, etc. You got to bring a bunch of units to use her. And the rest of these, I totally agree with. They have some insane DPS. I don't think they have them in particular order, but yes, I can pretty much agree with all of them except for Tanjiro. All right, Tanjiro's DPS is nowhere close to the units on this list. All right, Tanjiro's DPS is actually pretty mid. So please do not think Tanjiro is a great DPS to use. I personally don't think he's meta DPS. All right, meta overall / utility. I pretty much like all these units. Also, guys, take into mind that Cell did get a buff recently. Not many people watched that video, so keep that in mind. Also, Meliodas is one of the most recommended units ever. He is busted OP. Totally recommended. And she does insane damage, but requires Mahito, which honestly, I don't see Mahito on this list yet. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, I would definitely put Mahito in the meta overall. Mahito. Or you can go with the other ones because I think you really need Mahito to use her to her best of her ability. All right, meta support units. I don't really like Octo that much personally. He's worse than a Speedwagon for sure. So not really recommended. This guy, I don't know if I would really put him in meta support. I would just say Gojo over him. He's kind of just like, if you have to use him. Gex the Gecko and Slow, not my favorites. These are, I don't know if I would really put these in meta. They're kind of more like borderline meta. So honestly, I'm probably just like cross these guys off. I don't know if I can really recommend them. They're not really meta. I would never like bring them if I didn't have to. Meta support, honestly, Diavolo, if you have a slot available. So he, in my mind, is a big question mark. Let's see, who else we got? Poochie is really good, guys. Poochie is like guaranteed like 10 plus waves. Please bring Poochie. Highly recommended. All right. Meliodas is a sleeper. And the rest of them are pretty okay. This guy, he has an interesting ability. I want to see how people use him in infinite mode. I'm going to give him the yellow light. He's actually pretty interesting. So I'm curious to see how he works out for infinite mode. So there we go. Those are all the meta units. Now, they also gave us some loadouts as well to take a look at. So let me go scroll down to this. Here we go. So here are the ideal infinite mode loadouts. So you guys can kind of pick one. So here we go. We got some loadouts and they said, let's see here. Slot 1. Yeah, here we go. These are for, I think, more like if you're just playing by yourself, it looks like. If you're playing with other players, you're going to have to like bring different ones. Like, obviously, not everybody wants Gojo. So this is like if you're going in solo. Here's a pretty good loadout. Honestly, I pretty much use these exact loadouts on a bunch of videos. So basically, what they recommend if you're going solo is to bring a time stopper, a slow unit, a buffer, and a support unit, as well as a like a money unit. But if you're bringing multiple people, obviously you don't need a dupe of Gojo, you don't need a dupe of Katakuri, you don't need a dupe of the buff. So you can really like fill in the rest of these slots with a bunch of DPS and supports. But everybody needs Speedwagon for sure, and everybody needs some of these units. But these are all some great options, guys. The Dio over Heaven, though, is a little random. I don't know why he's even in here, honestly. They tripping on some of these. Whew. Kisuke, oh my gosh. Okay, some of these are really low budget, but these top ones, if I'm going solo, I definitely like these. So big shout out to Bryce for these tier lists. And catch you guys in the next one. Comment down below who are your favorite infinite mode units. And peace out.